How old does Alan Gray look to you? 65? 70? He's 81. In his own head though, he's still 13.
Alan Gray nomads. Can't you see I'm using the road?
When Terrain Tamer organised a couple of these grey nomads to learn about trip preparation, Alan is less than impressed.
They're over the hill. Now I've got a couple of old blokes I've got to keep an eye on in case they're dying of heart attack. We'll need full-time defibrillation equipment. We'll need nurses on hand. Who knows?
Will Alan learn to be patient? Or will he come out of this looking like the grumpy old man?
Yeah, well, you know what old blokes are like. They want to chew your ear off, tell me stories from way back. Oh, I don't have time for that sort of thing, you know? Hey, what's this? Is this show and tell time or something? I should have brought me dog in. What do you got there, mate?
Whilst I was away up the Northern Territory, I decided to replace the thermostat. Have you seen a thermostat like that?
Ah! Thermostat's plural. Boy, oh boy, that's wrecked, isn't it? So you've had a bit of experience out there. You'd be the guy to ask about preparations for cooling systems on vehicles. What would you have in mind?
I would most definitely, I don't care how old the radiator cap is or the thermostat is, the belts or the hoses, I would replace the whole lot.
Yeah, okay.
And even if you think the radiator's in good condition, I would at least run a flush through it.
Good, cool. So you guys heard about our heavy-duty aluminium radiator, the Terrain Tamer cell?
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen one yet, no.
Well, you haven't been out on the highway because I road tested a couple the other day on the highway, and me being an expert on tying, out they went out the back all over the road, semi-trailers and utes running all over the place. And that's what brings me to this one here. That's why we've got a brand new one that I cut in half because he was damaged beyond repair. But it was interesting because I've never really seen see the thickness of the tanks here, all aluminium. A lot of cooling fins, as you can see.
Yeah, no, it's got a bit of weight to it too, sort of. Unless you're getting away from the plastic and those sort of things, they get a bit brittle.
Yeah, when you get up real high, we've seen the plastic ones melt.
Yeah, right, eh?
I'm quite impressed, Al, with the fusion welding here. That looks to be extremely strong.
Well, there's no welding that can alter in temperature expansion rates, and sometimes the welding rods and that alter and eventually crack through welds. That's been put on with a fusion about 600 degrees. They actually fuse the whole thing together. And some of our radiator guys have said that's the strongest radiator they've ever seen. Now give us my radiator back.
Right.
It's only half.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Don't let it in you.
Ah, well, I bought it. It cost me a fortune.
Alan decides to get artistic to illustrate the cooling system in a car.
Okay, so we've got this new radiator sitting out the front here. We need an artist, but I'll do for the time being. We run a fan here. How's that look for a fan? Down a water pump. Okay, we go a bit higher up here. And we've got an engine block. That's the main problem. It's getting a bit hot in here because it's burning a bit of petrol and one thing and another. And we've got a thermostat sort of sitting in the middle there. We'll join it up. We're going to water hose goes from the thermostat to the top of the tank here. And we better get some water flow going just for a change so as we know which way we're going. Down through the radiator. Now we go into the bottom of the water pump here. There's a water pump down there somewhere and the hose comes through here. Is that too complicated at the moment? Not doing too bad. Okay, we've got some pistons in here going up and down, 3 or 4 of them. And then the water pump's connected, of course, to the engine. And so the fan's running around here. We start the motor. Pistons are in there, but they're sort of heating the water up that's in here. All the water is in here. But we don't want to get that flowing too much because we want the engine to warm up to its correct operating temperature. So just for a while when the fan and water pump's going, the thermostat's blocked off from the engine, so the water just circulates around here while the thermostat's blocked off, up through the water pump, up through here and back there. So the water's actually circulating around there, but not through the engine. So the engine starts to get a bit hot and says, hang on a minute, we need a bit of cooling, guys. So we'll start and put some of the heat into the thermostat and it opens a little bit. Once it starts to open, the water goes along here through the radiator, back through the water pump, and then starts to go through the engine block.
Now moving on to how a radiator itself works.
How would you reckon a radiator works? What sort of operation?
Well, you've got the flow of the water coming through, but you've got the wind coming through the...
Okay, so you've got water in here,
Yep.
Water out there.
Yep.
And we got an airflow through here if it's not restricted too much.
Yep.
Now how does that cool the
There's water tubes. So the water's going down through the tubes, which are then they're coupled together by the little fins,
Right.
which then transfer the heat off the tubes, and the air will cool those little fins down, which in turn cools the tubes down.
Okay, which in turn cools the water down. So we've got
Yeah.
hot water in here and cooler water going out there. Okay, yeah, probably 50 degrees we hope. Difference between the two if you measure it. Okay guys, so I think what we'll do now, we'll pop the bonnet of the ute and check the cooling system.
After checking the Land Cruiser's water levels, hoses and the radiator for any leaks, they determined that the cooling system is working fine.
Yeah, but what do you think about the thermal coupling? Like, would you give that a good test before you went?
Probably a good idea, pretty good idea, and as I pointed out before, that it's pretty hard to test them. What I do is run up the road till it gets hot and see if the fan stops with the motor.
Yeah.
That's probably important. If it keeps spinning 2 or 3 times, then obviously it's not hot enough or it's faulty.
Okay.
Conveniently, ours Hilux ute has been having some cooling issues, so they decide to put the brand new heavy-duty terrain Tamer radiator in that.
Well, that was nice and easy getting that out.
Right.
Okay. We checked the belts, water leaks, no other problems, everything looking good while we're under here because you can get a good look at it. All right, so whack that new radiator in as quick as we can.
Can you hold
Have
that
a
for
look at
second?
that. Wowie. Careful! It goes over here, over this side, right? In front of the radiator. It goes to the front of the car. Yeah, I'll do most of the work.
It'd be handy if you did something.
That's nice. Then I'll report you to the headmaster. You go lower so we can shut the bonnet.
There we go.
You're on
That should be about now, Ash.
Yeah, don't tighten it.
No.
Your wife won't be watching the DVD, will she?
Yeah, more than likely, so
You better watch yourself then.
my daughter was pretty keen on watching the show after seeing with those young apprentices, with
Oh.
the ladies that you had there. Now she wants to be a
Okay.
mechanic.
I went to see one of them get married the other day.
Yeah, fair.
Did you?
She's a doll, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, what I'm after is a wealthy widow with a nasty cough.
After bleeding the system, Alan checks the residual voltage in the water. The industry standard recommends less than 0.5 of a volt to prevent corrosion in the cooling system.
Thanks for your effort. I didn't think much of this bloke's effort, but it'll change during the week. All right, that'll do. We'll shut the bonnet. Grab your spanners there before it gets caught up in the works, and then we'll tidy up, and that'll be it for the day.
Right out.
Terrain Tamer, parts that will get you home.